Hemp is an annual fibrous plant that is grown for many uses and has been grown in our history for up to 8,000 years. First plant cultivated by man for fiber uses. From there it can be traced in nearly every culture and every civilization, being used from everything for sails in all the ships that sailed the earth, all the ropes. The first Bible was printed on hemp paper.
The hemp industry is very under-publicized, I guess, for all its greatness, because it would come up on a lot of businesses and industries that the U.S. Relies heavily on, like cotton, for clothing, and plastic and paper.
Major use that most people know these days is for the textiles. The fiber of the hemp is 3 times the tensile strength of cotton, and it's a hollow fiber, so it's a lot more breathable. Wearing hemp, it's comfortable, it's breathable, it's the classic saying is it wears in, not out.
My favorite shoes I ever owned, I think, were hemp. I got a great pair of pants that are hemp.
I have hemp shoes.
Just got a pair of hemp pants.
I make a lot of hemp jewelry, so like necklaces and bracelets.
I was a very creative and innovative hemp jewelry designer. I would use hemp in bracelets, in necklaces, you name it. I would make hair wraps out of hemp. People loved them. I would give them to people as gifts.
In the past, I have used hemp lotion. It really helps with sunburns and like irritated skin, and it smells great.
In high school, when I was a soccer player, I got a lot of scars and bruises, so I used hemp lotion to make them heal faster.
Hemp plastic is a composite material made of hemp fiber, which can be used to replace oil-based raw material.
Amongst the thousands of products made from hemp, one of the most extraordinary is Henry Ford's plastic car. Built in 1941, it contained cellulose fibers derived from hemp, sisal, and wheat straw. The plastic was lighter than steel, yet could withstand 10 times the impact without denting.
The other uses that are coming up in France, they're developing the building industry. What they do is chip up the stalk and mix it with lime, and you actually get this, which is a hemp brick. The other product that's really big in building is the chipboard, which is lighter than wood, it's better insulating than wood, and obviously there are no trees going into it again, and it's on a sustainable basis.
Hemp rolling papers that I roll my weed in.
Hemp papers.
I like drawing on hemp paper products.
People don't realize that the first drafts of the American Declaration of Independence were actually written on hemp paper.
Did you know that the Declaration of Independence was signed on a piece of hemp paper?
No.
I did not. That's fascinating.
No, that is such an interesting fact.
No.
No way. That's what's up, though.
No. I did not know that.
I didn't know that, but I did know that George Washington grew weed.
Marijuana is either the recreational use or the medicinal use of the psychoactive compounds within the cannabis plant.
Marijuana, commonly known as weed, pot, ganja, or grass, is a mixture of dried leaves, stems, seeds, and flowers which come from the cannabis sativa plant. The cannabis sativa plant contains a chemical known as THC, which affects the neurons in the brain to create a sensation which is often referred to as a high. Humans have cultivated and consumed marijuana since virtually the beginning of time. In the United States, marijuana is the 3rd most common drug, only behind alcohol and tobacco, and nearly 100 million Americans have used it in their lifetime. According to government surveys, 25 million people in the United States have tried marijuana in the past year, and 14 million have admitted to using it regularly, despite the harsh laws against its use.
Personally, I smoke because it helps me relax, and I think it's a really nice social experience. It makes me feel good. I love it. It makes me happy. It also mellows me out a lot. I have pretty bad anxiety.
It relaxes me, especially when I have headaches after school. It's great to come home to and smoke some weed.
Partially partially habit, but I mean, in the beginning, for definitely levels of anxiety, and like sleep.
Allows me to maybe think in a little different way and see things just a little differently. I think it helps with like creativity. think it's also a good social thing.
It has something to do with the oral fixation. I used to smoke cigarettes for a long time, and I used joints, well, spliffs first, to like wean myself off cigarettes.
Marijuana is consumed for its psychoactive and psychological effects, which include an increase of euphoria in the brain, relaxation, and heightened mood while experiencing the high after ingestion. There are many ways to consume marijuana, including smoking, vaporizing, and eating, and each way gives you a different high.
Big old fat doobie. This would be, almost looks factory rolled. It's so perfect. It's a great looking doobie. This is a preference.
It's a joy to roll them. And it's a joy because it's a social event. I'll roll up a big spliff. I'll have my friends join it.
I definitely feel high, sleepy, depending on the time and the place and the product, but it makes me feel good. It's like a comforting feeling, I don't know. So
Calm, tranquil, almost, happy.
I really enjoy smoking blunts.
Blunt is a Dutch master or game, gutted, filled with weed, and rolled up.
Smoking a blunt makes me feel a lot more relaxed when I'm feeling stressed out.
It makes me feel euphoric.
When you smoke a blunt, kind of like you're floating, like on a cloud. Got lots of silly, interesting thoughts that like sort of make sense to you.
It would be edibles. Edibles make me feel really happy, and it's less of like a sedated high, and it's more of like you're happy and you're calm, and you get like a little tingling in your legs and your toes.
Bong. It relieves anxiety. It makes you see things in a different way.
Vermont has made strides to scale back marijuana prohibition over the past few years, with a successful measure to decriminalize and a separate bill to establish a system of dispensaries for the state's medical cannabis patients. Observers have seen the state's strong support for the re-election of Governor Peter Schulman, an advocate for the marijuana reform, but not outright legalization, as a sign that voters could be ready to legalize. Another northeastern state without a citizen-initiated ballot process, Vermont will have to rely on this push coming from the state lawmakers. Legalization bills have been submitted, though some preliminary efforts are currently being bogged down by disagreements in the legislature. Polls have consistently shown Vermonters to be supportive of efforts to scale back prohibition of marijuana, but split on the issue of legalization itself.
The 17th state in the United States to decriminalize marijuana. Obviously, this is a great victory for those who are looking for pot legalization to become a nationwide trend. We see yet another state decriminalizing.
With the signature of Governor Peter Schumlin,
it's law. Thank you, Tom.
Vermont will decriminalize possessing an ounce or less of marijuana starting July 1st. Criminal penalties will be replaced with civil fines, resembling speeding tickets. The move is similar to ones already on the books in 16 other states.
Governor of Vermont signs into law the decriminalization of small amounts of marijuana.
The chief hopes long-term, getting more lenient on minor offenses won't desensitize Vermonters to pot's potential impacts on physical and mental health.
We're going to certainly hope for the best.
Matt Markham spent the day in the Green Mountain State, where a green debate now rises.
I think it's a great thing, and I speak from personal experience because it happens that when I was 18, myself and a few friends were busted, as they say, for smoking marijuana. And because in Massachusetts it was decriminalized, we had nothing but a $100 fine, as opposed to anything from a night in jail, a much larger fine, etc., etc.
Governor Schumlin insists this is the best approach, to give good people a second chance.
Already thousands of people who are in the jail system for marijuana, when it definitely should not be a reason to go to prison with other criminals who have done way worse crimes.
For the most part, the decriminalization helps because all those people that were getting sacked for minimum amounts of weed, that like ruins lives.
It should be taxed, and that, taxing it would create revenue that could go towards things that need improving in Vermont and Burlington.
The revenue that we would get from that could go to funding other organizations, education, and things that are more important than busting kids who are just smoking dubs.
Also, I think it's a big moneymaker. I think that you can tax it and sell it legally as if it were alcohol or a pack of cigarettes.
Use money raised from marijuana fines to fund investigations aimed at bringing down far more dangerous drug criminals.
I think it's fantastic because our state has a huge opiate problem, which I feel is way more of a focus that law enforcement should be putting their energy into instead of catching kids with dime bags of weed.
I think that that's a very progressive step, and it makes sense, and it's a good way to focus our police efforts in other places.
I think it's good for a lot of reasons. I don't think that it would really make more people smoke pot. People are going to smoke pot if they want to. The legalization really isn't going to, increase or decrease that. I think for some it might be harder to get pot because it's going to knock some low-level drug dealers at least off the streets, which I think is good. Pot's not going to be around high schools maybe as much anymore.
I think marijuana should be legalized in the whole U.S., but Vermont would be a really great state to start it off. I think we'd be set up for it perfectly.
I believe that marijuana should be legalized in the state of Vermont.
I believe that marijuana should be legal in Vermont.
I believe that marijuana should be legalized in the state of Vermont.
I believe marijuana should be legalized in the state of Vermont.
I believe that marijuana should be legalized in Vermont.
And I believe marijuana should be legalized in the state of Vermont.
I believe that marijuana should be decriminalized everywhere.